Mama na say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
A judge who denies bail because an accused may continue to express political opinions has not administered justice. I say what I'm about to say as a practicing lawyer, as someone who has spent his professional life in courtrooms, who has profound respect for our judiciary and deep admiration for those who carry the weight of dispensing justice. I say this not in anger, but in fidelity to the Constitution I have sworn to uphold, and with all the candor, humility, and respect I can command. When a court denies bail not to serve justice, but to serve silence, it has administered political censorship from the bench, and that, with the greatest respect, is a betrayal of every principle that gives judicial office its authority, its dignity, and its legitimacy. Now, let me specifically deal with the nature of the remand. It was a BNI remand, and indeed, even so, there is a missing court order. No court order drawn. Every remaining doubt about the political character of this prosecution is removed by the decision to remand Mr. Abronye into BNI custody. The BNI, by law, is Ghana State Intelligence and Security Service. It is not a remand prison. It exists to address genuine threat to national security. Mr. Abronye posted a critical video about a judge. That is not a national security matter. It never was. This has nothing to do with the criminal justice and everything to do with political intimidation. But there is something even more alarming. I want every Ghanaian to hear this clearly. Even those who hate the guts of Abronye must at least listen to this matter. It has now been 4 days since the court pronounced the remand order. 4 days, as I understand it, on the basis of information available to the party at the time of this statement. Counsel moved up and down the courtroom, the registry, demanding for certified remand order. The court order, as at Friday, has still not been drawn. I therefore simply ask a simple question. On what legal basis did the Ghana Police Service take Abronye into custody and conveyed him to the BNI? On what legal basis did the BNI accept and held him? A remand order is not a verbal instruction. It is a formal judicial instrument. It is a written legal authority upon which the deprivation of a citizen's liberty must rest. Was a Ghanaian citizen delivered into intelligence custody on nothing more than a word of mouth? If so, that detention has no documented lawful foundation whatsoever. So I ask again, the Director General of BNI, did you receive any court order accompanying Abronye's detention? If so, can you provide a copy? If not, why did you accept him? And I ask my Lord, if my Lord thinks he is bold enough, why is he running away from his own court order? By the way, that Circuit Court 9 records are immediately typed. As you are making your submissions, the clerk is typing. So within 5 minutes after court, the records of court must be ready. Why has it taken days? And as at close of business Friday, the order was still not ready. What is the judge trying to tell us? Is he trying to change what he has said in open court? That Abronye should remain in custody until the case is finally determined, not even to the next agenda date. His language was clear. Is he running away from his own language? Is he afraid of public outrage against his own conduct. Article 14 of the 1992 Constitution requires that no person shall be deprived of his personal liberty except as permitted by law, and that every arrested person shall be informed immediately in a language he understands of the reasons of his arrest. The Constitution therefore puts before the Ghana Police Service, the Bureau of National Investigation, as well as that Circuit Court 9, which was supposed to be presided over by a judge who has taken a judicial oath, a clear and unambiguous notice of the civil liberties provided for by the Constitution. These are rights guaranteed, far rights. The production of a signed and certified remand order is not a technicality. It is a constitutional imperative. Its absence, if confirmed, would rather render this detention not merely improper but unlawful. What we are witnessing is either a crass dereliction of duty or a raw and deliberate exercise of power designed to show a political opponent where the power lies, with due process and afterthoughts. So the NDC party functionaries who are encouraging this, you should know that your 4 years is now left with some 2.5 years. Your time will come. Those judges should know that President Mohamed Stena will soon come to an end. They should know this, that God willing, 2028 will be Dr. Bawumia's turn. Indeed, we are reminding them that neither explanation is acceptable in a constitutional democracy. Both demand accountability. Now we see the ghost of criminal libel coming back, buried by Kufuor, but resurrected by President Mahama. There's a deeper dimension to what this government is doing, and it must be named plainly. On 27 July 2001, Ghana's parliament unanimously passed the Criminal Code Act 2001, Act 602, which repealed the criminal libel and seditious laws. President John Agyekum Kufuor gave his assent on 2nd August 2001, striking from our statute books one of the most notorious instruments of state censorship this country had ever known. That repeal was a defining moment in Ghana's democratic maturation, a declaration that in free society, the state has no business imprisoning citizens for what they say. The bill was presented to Parliament by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the Attorney General as he then was. The world applauded. Ghana was held up as a model for Africa. But before we go further, let me be precise about one important historical fact. The criminal libel law was not created by the PNDC or NDC. It is a colonial inheritance drafted in 1893 by the British colonial administrators and embedded in our statute books to suppress dissent against imperial rule. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our first president, inherited it at independence. It was codified in our Criminal Offences Act 1960. The law predated the Rawlings era by decades. But what history will never forgive the PNDC and NDC for is this. They weaponized that colonial relic most ferociously, most systematically, and with the greatest cruelty against the citizens of a free Ghana. Under PNDC military regime of Jerry Rawlings, journalists, academics, lawyers, trade unionists, and ordinary citizens were arrested, detained without trial, and tortured for daring to speak. The culture of silence was not a metaphor. It was a lived reality enforced by brute state for power. Mr. Tommy Thompson, publisher of Free Press, and Mr. Michael J., a senior writer, in 1982, were among those imprisoned without trial for editorials critical of the PNDC. Mr. John Kublenu, the editor, was separately arrested in 1983 and detained without charge before being transferred to Insawam prison. He died in 1984. Shortly after his release, his health destroyed by the conditions of his detention. He was never charged. He was never tried. He simply died for daring to write. Tommy Thompson himself continued to face harassment and repeated prosecution and died in 1998. His death, a direct consequence of brutalities he endured in his long fight for press freedom. 2 men, 2 deaths. The blood is on the hands of that regime. Abdul-Malik Kwekubaku Jr. was arrested and tortured under the PNDC. He has spoken publicly about being made to crawl the full length of Military Parade Square on his knees until they bled. About being caned on his waist. About 25 days at the Fields Engineers facility that left him physically impacted. About losing control of his bodily function for days on end, all for speaking truth to power. Kwesi Pratt Jr. was jailed and tortured during that same period. So was Akotampa and many others whose names history has not fully preserved. Then came the NDC in constitutional form. And even under the democratic dispensation, the party found uses for the criminal libel law it had inherited. On 23 July 1998, 2 of Ghana's most respected newspaper editors, the same Abdul-Malik Kwekubaku Jr. of The Guide and Alhaji Haruna Atta of Weekend Statement, were convicted by the Court of Appeal and sentenced to 1 month in prison. Their crime? Publishing a story about the former First Lady. They were dispatched to separate prisons, Akuse, Winneba, and Anumabo, in a deliberate attempt to break their spirits and prevent visits from supporters. Images of Kwekubaku and Haruna Atta in handcuffs being marched to prison are etched in the collective memory of every Ghanaian who loves freedom. In 1996, editors Nana Kofi Kumsin of the Ghanaian Chronicle, Ebenezer Kwaku, and Tommy Thompson of the Free Press were arrested and charged with publishing false news with intent to injure the reputation of the state. Those exact words, publishing false news, the same statutory weapon this government is now deploying against Abronye. And when the court came to repeal the criminal libel law, the then NDC chairman, Obed Yawasamwa, who had also served as Attorney General under Rawlings government, declared publicly that the law could be repealed over his dead body. Over his dead body. That is the NDC's historic relationship with free speech. That is the tradition President Mahama now chooses to continue. The MPP abolished the law that the NDC swore to keep. And now the NDC is quietly rebuilding what the NPP tore down. Now the Mahama administration, unable to openly reverse that landmark reform without international condemnation, has chosen a more cunning path. Rather than restore criminal libel by name, it is reconstructing the criminal libel regime in practice, hiding behind sections 207 and 208 of Act 29 to achieve through the back door what it cannot defend through the front. The charges against Abronye, Baba Amando, David Esando, and others are in substance and in effect criminal libel prosecutions. The only difference is the label on the charge sheet. The intent is the same. The mechanism is the same. The consequence is the same. Arrests, remand, imprison, silence. President Kufuor abolished criminal libel to set Ghana free, President Mahama is rebuilding it brick by brick to cage opposition. So I ask President Mahama, is this the legacy your second coming is leaving Ghanaians with? I pray it is a no. When civil remedies exist, criminal prosecution is a political choice. I repeat, when civil remedies exist by law, criminal prosecution is a political choice. And that is the choice this government has made. I made this point earlier in these proceedings when I started. And I return to it now because it deserves to be stated plainly and in its full legal force. Ghanaian law already provides a civil remedy for any person who genuinely believes they have been defamed. It has always been there. It exists today. The aggrieved party may approach the civil courts. They may sue. They may place their case before a judge. They may walk away with their reputation vindicated and with damages in hand. Not a single arrest is required for any of that. Not a single bail application. Not a single remand into BNI custody. The civil law achieved the stated objective, the vindication of reputation, without any of those consequences. This government knows that, or ought to know that. Its lawyers know that, or ought to know that.
Obi on say asemo a ekoso aye kan. Asemo kan say obi on say MPP be ya koye opposition ne kra so omunim yi o. Opposition na foforo mu be say because say utimi be hwe nyame anim eka say amamu a yewura Mahama ebu no enye na Ghana form pa. Na as udi Ghana ho fe obi ye wo krom ha ena 2022 you say Russia-Ukraine war.
Yes.
Na dollar was 7 cedis here niti ye na do 17 cedis. Obi na ye petrol. November 2022 make diesel e could do 102 Ghana cedis per gallon. 106 Ghana cedis per gallon. Obi na Russia and Ukraine war na da so ho. You say na America Israel Iran war.
Yes.
And if Russia and Ukraine war is equal to 106 Ghana cedis per gallon of diesel. Russia and Ukraine war plus America Iran Iraq war is equal to X. Find X. Obi. So war bako 80 ma petrol. It could do 106 Ghana cedis. War me nu enjinga was 80 ma petrol could do 200 Ghana cedis. But ne enu 70 Ghana. Edi entia. It's because of prudent management. It is because Abronye are building resilience. Obi what you say? Abronye are building some economic resilience. Bia amaya ye immune to some of these global economic headwinds. What you say? And the MPP for the mamu nunu mo ho mamu na da ma na oni MPP ni bia kasa power will change and the future is pregnant. Na say mo no a say be mother form no. Momo na mosa ebo obi a womi awokon ne ntre ha obi tie ne ye o obi wa woda form no a se be yemi awokon mo ani ha han no
yes
ona wo se ka se wudi ejai na me sorry a obehu dia me de be ye wo obeye din ya se obi ade san na se bi ono yere be da se nke hye utrim ena ye kodi ewu nso anke ye nkra what you say obi ani ho a wokoku nipa or crasa me kukuni pa ye dey aba what you say into the ne ya wo opposition say una power de o de be ye de nka mananya de ye hye utrim na wo no a wo de opposition no wo say threaten ye say 24 years time over opposition na 24 years time no na offer kwesi akwa na wo he na sampai wo he and the MPP for muntie break maybe the obi I think say what Dr. Bawumia as an opposition leader should focus on is repairing the fractured MPP. Obi adia omoye top down approach na omoye no a weaken omo party no because obi the akoye say ene ya said the system no is skew naturally towards obi bia support Bawumia. Obi bia wan support Bawumia polling station for mu yi wo manim so mo ye kan fo nyina no ene obekọ na yi udi afrim eno na ama omakọ wo mo ho nsekan watepa no ene MPP ekoye polling station election it is say the Taliban for call and shemu obia wo bafo sheboham
obia person
obi nanka police station election there the second koye there wo da woni pa mienu second watepa wo bi
enfa
Ashanti radio da bi obi ya pipi o mu atepa na ne ya woni pa mienu second mother hospital and na obi kan wasem no
police the found some evidence of the discussion
obi and MPP
what is discussion when they say premeditated
obi and boninti no police station election no ye no anajo 130 anajo 130 abaifo kra kwa ati no ma beda no
say 24
now that's any say 24 that's any ye pe boni edinti
say 24
ade be chi ani mu betete wo be sori house oh ya ade na anajo dada
24
police station elections.
that is what they are doing
obi 24 wo mutimi ye bia mo
ayo obi ye yi Canada Japan ko fo nyina ye dey Ephraim na we political party we opposition leader wa be di party anim na nipa de udin eyi nkofo bi o mu fi se omama wa fa Ephraim a obi de na oye de be kwakọ wi ane se de no sabi enyanye ye kura na nne mu yiye mu na isa ye be chi nkate pa ma na bia ye nya bi nwe de ene ne ye be boja mama nkate na hye na ye dey na ahwere ye nyina enti aida se nipa dodo na e be dwane ade omo ho akoka the base for ho anase bi be ye takra wo jem e bi be ye hwewtiri hwa wo che de Abroni obi omo wade ani mu pa so no mu boja ni ma wo se jane so no na omo so di nsu agina omo anum na omo pugum e di MPP and about MPP and about mi ade obi me so omo brebre me nka so omo wu omo fa nko but if this is the kind of leadership Dr. Baumia is going to offer, I think that MPP is going to be in opposition for a very long time.
Madam Abbas Nuruddin, I have just about honorable Itubefa Emrena Akana Mpese Mebusa me obe siman nine parliament hot job ko.
That's what say honyo. Sa say honyo. Na mare hosem ba ko ewomu ni say enue hu aka duemu kakra yi. There's been some sharp attempts by the NDC to disown him.
Adey.
Why?
Yo, check social media.
Why?
Asante Atem no
yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I said yeah, and yeah, because yeah, me as a parliamentarian, no, mean this no, or you my colleague. What do you say? You bomb pay ya mano, no money ade. Na mo opti say obe join them kokot so money ade. Ode ma ya juma sa no money ade. Afi am first start year right time so or independent candidate. O kokoso kamo. O kam ho ti dey tin na wo so kutwu mo fu mo nya sa ade no. Mo yes am ya timodin. Yes, I'm here tomorrow. And I precope a month for say a branch to say by election by bar no until a month for you don't say with your mom sit on message. You understand? And Bassa no, I quite say, Nippon 2 on see it is say maybe a ye. But them who told me who so me yes, I may one one the Miami knee. Yeah, and no, a hammy. I have so check social media. There's been some serious attempt to say, yeah, bet you if you know, but to say near Yedika Kano, early days yet. I mean, in some the woman, a fee and a year baby details, no. Nah, it's been but a month who know the kind of pressure that comes on MPs. And you know, when no, Bijidi say, ebe ko na bi ene hunu de tuemu pa no amanfo beto ombo se parliament hono anya dia sike bi ku hono mu a ye kokosesa nya de pressure head amanfo so pa
obi on say honorable okay from pon asem aba no ye nyina nam say aboye pusa kakra na de ma asem no nso emu ye wiem ne say sese ya ye kasa no yenhu asem na bose ankasa asem no yenhu de tuemu ankasa.
That's true.
On obi enu ntina me say sa asem ba na se bi asem no nhunu mu nkosi ase a empepre wo hu se bi enkosi ginaye won se ne esetie the fact say obi ye nyina ye kuo ba ko no enkire se bi eson se bi anyado obi ye be ya abahye bone obi ya ade na enye kwa ye se san so kan ye hu ntino what ya say ba se obi nso nye bibia na ye hunahuna ne de a eye yasudie se ye ne a sebi ye ne no ebomani no
yes
ye bo aboso ye de igina na
chi
enti wo behwa parliament the statement about say omone
yes
diplomatic mission e wo Hague hwa asem de wo mu ankasa ne hunu de be de ye be ye nyi ne man na ye kasa ye ka Akwechira. Obi ani mo okay frimpon say he was a card-bearing member of the MPP. Na primaries are require bomb mafia no and man yes obeko independent. What I say? I'm not in any way disowning him. Oba parliament no see on the fact say what parliament on NDC na obi NDC as a political party yanya bashabone yamfua bone so wo kan ye ho na wonye bone na ye tatawa ye begina ne akoama wo basa wo kan ye ho na wo koya ade na sabi enya untimi nka sa wo kan ye ho ntino wakoye bone ntia wo se wo fa ho de we don't operate like the MPP. In American, the details are quite sketchy. And for now, what we need to do, I say, you be holding your horses.
Okay.
Near where the ebeba. Na ye hunu mwa ye be day. Ye be timide abwa ye ni as usual MPP asamba ye enye ibiano or ma try say or mo best score political points and NDC this no and or come ho and I say no obi no betina. Obi be kokoso with you and trese or your member obi say onim sa obi be kokoso with you in parliament and trese o party no ye dey o ka ho obe kaya ye wura kwesi ndum o contest commander dina eguafo Abronye on the ticket of the CPP.
Yes.
Obe kokoso with MPP amana lusu ni CPP ness no kopem ebra no aka se wajai aba MPP.
Sure.
Ye wura Fred Blay or contest
CPP, yes.
No, you CPP ni or kokoso with MPP.
Okay.
But I'm not MPP do maybe no way there by into no MP. The fact that an independent candidate is caucusing with the majority side caucus does not mean so we lose or no any political coloration and independence.
Honorable yes, honorable.
And 70 people who want to make a politics here. But Yanhria Dachi Ubia or didn't huni. Not on Pefibia or Hubiano. Obeja Naja politics. The Bassanua wouldn't go for Beja politics among. Obi on the Enfano, would the Obeka be a famo, maybe Pebiaco. So that's it. It as much as say Ube criticize it. She say a war quiet befaso. Na a creative discussion near her say let's improve your governance system.
Yes.
Now what targeting the partner I say do the pardon personally there and any part were right to say or defend it. No. So there's it is your cardon when you're quiet there better bigger platform so but because at the end of the day no and something also way after sir the quarter almost finding one me manager say okay contempt defamation.
Yes, indeed. Now those two options are available.
Then I made part of Munchaso because at the end of the day,
at least criminal the end of the day, when he is convicted, he will be sentenced.
That's it.
By defamation, the ubenya damages.
And I'm so Munchaso because I know is under board. Was signed board say
on yes,
I you know what the better say no the enemy German no more Obi, how much I can know?
Nanoya Champem Jantua says, Obi, good evening. How are you? It's sad that the NPP speak like they did. They did some good by Ghanaians. They were the worst performing government ever, and yet they have not regretted for the way they treated Ghanaians. DDEP, COVID levy, etc. His Excellency Mahama is doing great and marvelously well.
Oh, you butter.
How can you compare 1 year 6 months to 8 years of non-performance? From the seat of our nation's presidency, Nanaya Chempim Jantua, and
presidential.
Oh, yeah, presidential
stuff.
Yeah, presidential.
Nanaya Chempim Jantua, Papa. I was sending me BBC, sending me a baby every month.
Oh, okay.
Saturday, 23rd May.
A year
because a year a Hinema Kokobe.
Oh, okay.
Now we are modern Abbas in Cyprian Anglican
Church
Cathedral.
Kumasi.
Obi, okay, say, if you mean Yena, ye tata by ye. I grew up so if you and then say, Yen Yakaso, and this is for no one Ekasa.
Almost a day.
Almost in Kuyukura. And then, Director for Operations Presidency. I say there is a clear gap between party. Mustafa.
In some they were brutal
because I mean,
but Obi always
I mean. What does it? Because obu no call from name kala ko ya adwuma. Na oman no ma ye den. Ye nyina sa oman no ma ye dia se ebesu. But omo ko ya adwuma ne dia mo so omobo. Se se ye enka Ghana for se nka sa. Omo ka se ye.
Obi always say.
It would mean ka say ayi
but Honorable Sampine, the former mayor. Obi, it baffles me when the NDC rants about Dr. Bawumia's comment on the unnecessary arrest and incarcerations. And Abbas Nuruddin sit in your studio to spew disrespectful language, all in the name that he wants to be the National Communications Officer. What didn't John Mahama and his NDC say in the past? The Honorable Sampine Ediao, the
Abronye. Yes. Ope vice chairman.
National Affairs Vice.
I names was say ya tene ne wo mo anya
say they say that's a complicated be ni NDC complicated majuma ni adekwa no ya to atwe ne ba bi niema ekoso nyina no che say code of conduct no ya twere e ba ya keke so does it here kai mo say 2 mini e dia mamu no enye mo amodia eye omanfo na dia mamu na ye ma tumi a ehun kuntabuo e wo ho.
Very well. Yes, last one.
Chief Justice Asemo Kofa Befrem na media Yemen akakaba. Ohwe ya bakwasem anya bredi kan ya ye Chief Justice betu akonya ne. Where in our first republic, Uran Kroma, Chief Justice and your friend Justice Akokosa, na say akonya mane kofinti. But I felt I should set the record straight as a way of public education. But no than 10. You can say you protected the sanctity of the judiciary. And not just will be a member of the judiciary. No one can say them rano, Ashan and Sano, 1 to 2 year.
Who determines that?
And no say your constitution naturally acquire your first one will be a Sebi, Utemweni, na Wanyane Jumeya, young Faso, and yet the Indian free one. On the article 146, Meboa. I stated misbehavior, a infirmity of the body or mind. And now incompetence. What you say? In this your farm requires only the you when you say you buy any opportunity free office or for through the process. Now to mean any breach in the process now say no that will not qualify as a breaching the sanctity of the judiciary. And that is what I think honorable should know. Now the other issue about David Asando, someone more can clearly. It cannot be the reason for his arrest. So Akotre said Dumsor is back. Because Obi said Dumsor is back no run a can any Akotre and the Obi said Kaukrauti and Kawasi Abechu. Because I'm saying Dumsor by say Okabi. Nanabi Mujina police headquarters when you know more to Dumsabu do Adentini Anchi or Munina. So clearly that cannot be the reason why.
But why has there not been any official statement?
I think said security agencies and so can do the public a lot of good.
Yeah, but there's narrative said 2 cars the police for 10 fully armed
by letting us know the reason TIA day yakosone page. Obi me there. I think so be obey wadwene say obe sumo man in any capacity no. I was so young who so join funu any kwan so usuro sekan. Inherent in the quest to serve in a public capacity no is the duty or the responsibility to open yourself up for accountability when called upon. Obviously, undi bonia police ni ba wonya day undane. What I say, and there are several occasions and go for some of maya abai bi ba ya no fee say omudwuma die no bibi etochima or do omo ekugina ase ni bia omu wie ye omu fa omu hu di ya na omu ye so te sa abrobe.
Say o ka assembi na we impugn criminality. Nipa no wo ho kwan say we yi no ho ano. Say ne abas kai say ya chi obi say o say insase a ye to won kan no first lady ehun wom. That one it borders on criminality. The first lady no be per say obi tu anamo bi na ne di ho.
And then once you know for defamation ye kwache no.
Oh, because it depends on what method you want to take. Me, in my case, I have a radio station. And then this gentleman alleged say radio station now an illegal connection. So that's it. So I task my manager to go and report himself because per who I am, my radio station doesn't have to do illegal connection. It my manager reported himself at the police station and said, "Wena yaka And you see this gentleman, no, your dear baby, because what court, ya cry, you say, say, ma and some no boko, and one sign bond.
Okay.
Say, because he is on record to have said, say, also no major me, more mortal nearly. Or to me, cast me tongue parts.
Tony Papa.
And the Wakansam.
It is sending in a semi as well. Cabadis and court or the baby cry.
But no, but no, the Niquancy channel. Law, no borders
defamatory.
Is defamatory in nature, and the remedy lies in civil law.
But you see, even
you know, and that's why the conversation around the Electronic Communications Act and even Act 29. Because once there is an offense in Act 29, covers DNA, it leaves the person with options. For example, if the Nipana can say, oh, Tony Papa, a publication of false news. In this case, they intended to create fear and panic. It can come under Act 29, which will be criminal. It depends on, and that's why we can say, going forward, maybe we should, if we really want to ensure freedom of speech. But that would also mean freedom of speech without any safeguard. Then we should even repeal section 208 in Act 29 and also look at section 78 or 7 in the Electronic Communications Act and also about publication of false news through any electronic medium. And I know it has been criminalized even in the Electronic Communications Act. It said it throws out options for you.
Go beyond that because see. Managing or operating a morgue is a legal business.
Absolutely.
What do I say? And my business is separate from my personality. And it borders on confidence. It is that is it. You understand? Exactly. Sa illegal connection at the end. And also by ya power now patch us say usre and your temper
now your party ni
on no say so a party but ko help platform so odi obi atem sa party for odi obi atem sa adan last 4 years no police station aye
so bo mo born ma
and when nya anye
it's a police station ni mo say
say ni pay aye kan ho asem ya
obi asem ni me video dey say ahafo ano
tepa ma wo mo ho se kan
enko for the hospital bed so ne ade o ahafo ano north ahafo north constituency okay. Indeed, apparently the member of parliament issued statement condemning the attacks, but there are pictures.
These are the things Dr. Baumia's opposition leader should be issuing.
There are pictures of the hospital bed. Honorable Nana Ajiman Prempeh.
Okay. Okay.
So I Ashanti region. So
Ashanti region.
Obi always asemwa ekoso aye kan.
Tobo man finance.
Honorable Nwe.
Yes, honorable.
And 70 people ho no man na make yeah politics there. But yanhwe ya dachi obia odi ne huni na onpe fibia won ho bia no obedwa neja politics. The basa no a woni mu nkofo ebeja politics amon. Obia on emfa no ho odi obeka bia emfa mo me ba be pe bia ko. So they say it no as much as say ube criticize hwe say ewo kwan ye befa so na a create discussion near hwe say betime improve your governance system. Na o targeting the person say as do nipa no personally there and any part were right to say or defend it. So they say it is your card when you acquire the better bigger platform so but because at the end of the day no and some also way after sir the quarter almost finding one me manager say okay contempt defamation. Yes, indeed. Now those two options are available. Then I made part of some because at the end of the day,
well, at least criminal the end of the day, when he is convicted, he will be sentenced.
That's it.
By defamation, the ubenya damages.
And I'm so munchaso because I know is under board. What sign board say?
Yes,
I bio. You know what the better say? No, the enemy German no more comedy now. Obi, how much you can you know?
Nanoya Champem Jantua says, Obi, good evening. How are you? It's sad that the NPP speak like they did. They did some good by Ghanaians. They were the worst performing government ever, and yet they have not regretted for the way they treated Ghanaians. DDEP, COVID levy, etc. His Excellency Mahama is doing great and marvelously well.
Oh, you butter.
How can you compare 1 year, 6 months to 8 years of non-performance
Agobeso
from the seat of our nation's presidency. Nana ya Champem Jantua anyway aba
presidential
presidential
staffer.
Yeah, presidential.
Nana ya Champem Jantua papa be. Make our send me BBC send in your baby every month.
Oh, okay.
Saturday 23rd May.
A year
because a year ahinema kokobe.
Oh, okay.
Now we are modern abas in Cyprian Anglican
Church
Cathedral.
Kumasi.
Obi, okay, say if you mean when you na ye tata bayi. We agrobeso if you and then say yen kasa wo. NDC for no one e kasa.
Almost a day.
Almost yenko ye kura. And director for operations presidency. I say there is a clear gap between party.
Mustafa. In some they were
Bruce because I mean
but Obi always
I mean what I say because obu no call from name kwala ko ya adwuma na oman no ma ye den ye nyina sa oman no ma ye dia se yebesu ba omo ko ya adwuma ne dia mo so omobo se se ye nka Ghana for nka kasa sa omo kasa ye
Obi always say
you do mean kasa ayi
but honorable Sampine, the former mayor. Obi, it baffles me when the NDC rants about Dr. Baumia's comment on the unnecessary arrest and incarcerations. And Abbas Nuruddin sit in your studio to spew disrespectful language, all in the name that he wants to be the National Communications Officer. What didn't John Mahama and his NDC say in the past? The Honorable Sampine Ediao, the
Abronye. Yes. Ope vice chairman.
National Affairs Vice Chairman.
Names was say your tenant no one.
They say that's a complicated NDC. Complicated so NDC now come negu. Now number be